What's up, everybody? Today we got an interesting story, man. My teacher got me pregnant. Now, I know I always say it, but this should be interesting.
Sonny Daniel Enterprises. Bad things. There's a lot of bad things that they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish on me. Got plans. Got plans. Got plans. Got plans.
Have you ever done something truly evil and destroyed someone's whole life?
Nah, I have not. That's a way to start the video, though.
Well, I have. I was 19 and about to graduate from high school, but then my math teacher, Mr. Cumberbatch, told me I'd failed his class and would have to repeat the year. I was devastated because I had already made plans to go to college, so I started crying and begged him to show mercy and let me pass. But he said no and shook his head. In a last attempt, I gave him a big hug and said, "Please, Mr. Cumberbatch, isn't there anything I can do?"
We already know where this story is gonna go. You already know what we thinking. I mean, it's clear as day what we thinking. He about to get in a whole heap of trouble and he don't even know it.
He pushed me away and said, "No, it's too late now." But I showed persistence.
She got on her knees, bruh. She got on her knees and begged for it, man. Dang.
And kept begging him, saying, "Please, please, please, Mr. Cumberbatch, isn't there anything I can do for you?" Finally, he had a change of heart and wrote down an address on a paper and said, "Okay, come here on Saturday, 6 p.m. We will do some math exercises, and if you do well, I will change your grade and let you pass."
My dude don't even know. He just created a whole problem for himself.
I gave him one last hug and said, "Thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch. You are the best."
I wonder if this happened when I was in school, though. I always wanted to smash my teachers. That's always like a male fantasy. Every dude want to smash his little teacher or whatever. But like, I wonder if anybody in my school did. Cause it was this English teacher I had that she was young. She was like 20 something, 22, maybe 24 or something like that. And she was like kind of fly. I wonder if anybody got with her. That's hot though. That's hot. Can't lie.
When Saturday arrived, I was very nervous. I didn't know if I was going on a date or if I was getting a private math lesson. But just to be sure, I dressed myself up.
She about to get this man in all kind of trouble. But it's his own fault. It's his own fault.
Put on my old school uniform, but made a few changes to look as exciting as possible. When I arrived at his house, he opened the door and said, "Come in, you're looking gorgeous today." I responded with, "Thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch. You're looking good too." We sat down at a desk and he told me to solve some math problems, but I couldn't focus. Mr. Cumberbatch was so close to me and I realized how attractive he was.
How you just not realize how attractive he was? You've been in this man's class all year. All of a sudden, now you in his house. Now he's super attractive. That's crazy.
I mean, I was 19 and he was only 10 years older than me. What turned me on the most was...
She said only. I mean, it's cool. I ain't tripping. I wouldn't be tripping neither, but you know.
the authority he had over me.
Yeah, see, that's what it was. The authority he had over her. That's what turned her on.
10 years older than me. What turned me on the most was the authority he had over me. He could decide whether I would pass the year or repeat it. At one point, I just stared into his eyes and hoped he would kiss me, but I guess he was too nervous. So instead, I kissed him.
Dang.
And he liked it. Kissing my high school teacher wasn't technically illegal, but we still broke the rules of our school. A teacher-student relationship was strictly prohibited, but that's what made it so exciting.
I understand. I don't knock neither one of them because I get it.
When we said goodbye to each other, I asked him if I had studied enough to pass the year, and he said, "You have worked very hard today, and therefore I will let you pass." I said, "Thank you, Mr. Cumberbatch,"
So all they did was kiss, though.
and gave him one more kiss on his mouth.
Dang, man, that's crazy.
This might shock you, but it was my first time.
Wait. First time kissing or did y'all smash?
Gave him one more kiss on his mouth. This might shock you, but it was my first time. And because of my inexperience, I forgot to tell him to use protection.
Wait, they smashed? They smashed, though? And it was her first time and he didn't use protection? That's his fault. You gotta be smarter than that, man. Come on.
So 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I didn't mind, though, because I really liked Mr. Cumberbatch. The next day, I went up to him at school to tell him about the baby. I secretly hoped we would become a couple. But when he heard the news, he got angry and said, "You will go to the pharmacy right now and get the pill."
Dang, man. This took a crazy turn.
I didn't like the way he talked to me. This was my body and therefore my decision. I asked him if he was interested in raising the baby with me, but he freaked out and screamed, I already have a wife and kid.
Dang. Cumberbatch out here playing a dirty game.
I'll never take care of your stupid baby. Go to the pharmacy right now. I screamed back, you're married? And he said, of course. And don't act like you didn't know. All my students know I have a wife and kid. Wow, what a jerk. Not only did he betray his wife, but now he was trying to put the blame on me. I got angry and said, I will keep the baby and tell your wife what you did. That's when he almost had a seizure and screamed right at me, you won't do that. But then I had an idea. I knew I would keep the baby anyway, but at least I could pretend to make a deal with him.
That's messed up.
I said, if you turn all my grades into straight A's, then I will change my mind on the baby.
Dang, so she played him. She lying to him now? Y'all both ain't nothing. Y'all both ain't worth nothing.
Mr. Cumberbatch was desperate. He agreed to the deal and snuck into our school at night to change my grades on the principal's computer.
Dang.
But 2 days later, on my graduation day, things went wrong. When my principal handed over my report card, he took a quick look at it and said, there must have been a mistake. I immediately knew my plan had failed. And the next
How would the principal know what your grades are?
and said, there must have been a mistake.
That don't even make sense. How would the principal think it's a mistake? How does he know what your grades are?
I immediately knew my plan had failed. And the next day I got my real report card, and my grades were terrible. The only
Grades ain't that bad. I mean, mine was way worse. Mostly in high school.
A I got was in Mr. Cumberbatch's math class. I knew it wasn't his fault, but I was so angry, I found out his address and went to his house.
Why you mad at him? He did what you asked. This girl evil, man.
A woman opened the door, and she was pregnant too.
Cumberbatch just busting.
I asked her if she was the wife of Mr. Cumberbatch, and she said yes. Then Mr. Cumberbatch appeared next to her. He stared at me in a very threatening way. For a moment, I had doubts, but then I looked straight into her eyes and said, your husband got me pregnant, and he has no interest in taking responsibility for his mistake. I hoped she would get angry at her husband, but instead she got angry at me, screaming, you bitch! You've seduced my husband, you dirty bitch!
Bruh, this is hilarious because it's like, she deserves that. Like, what are you doing, girl? Like, you trying to ruin this man's whole life for what? Y'all both shouldn't have been doing what you was doing, but now it's like, just go your separate ways at this point.
Wow, if Mr. Cumberbatch hadn't held her back from me, I might not be alive today. I was shocked and went back home, but it got worse. The next day, she came to my house and used a golf club to break in through a window.
Now that was crazy.
My parents weren't at home to protect me, so I fled to the rooftop and called the police. They arrived in time and took Mrs. Cumberbatch into custody. 2 weeks later, she was sentenced to 24 months in prison.
Dang, man, you got this lady locked up. Well, I guess she got herself locked up, but still. 2 years in prison for breaking somebody's window seems a little extra, but maybe not.
But this story gets even crazier. I called up Mr. Cumberbatch and told him we needed to talk. We met at a restaurant and I asked him, how much child support will you pay me each month? He responded, I'm only a teacher. I don't make much money. But I asked again, how much child support are you going to pay me? He said, look, my pregnant wife is in prison and we both know she is insane. I will divorce her as soon as possible, and I'd like you to come live with me. It will be the best for both you and the baby.
You lying?
I immediately said yes because I was scared of being a single mom. But after my daughter was born, I had to take care of both her and Mr. Cumberbatch's other baby. At first, I didn't mind.
So he really moved her into his house. Like, what a bad mistake both of y'all made.
I loved them both, but then I saw how Mr. Cumberbatch preferred his other daughter over mine. He spent more time with her and treated her so much better. Every morning, he said to her, hey, sweetie, good morning. I love you so much. And then he completely ignored my daughter. I had to admit that she was the perfect child. Extremely beautiful and very smart. Much smarter than my daughter.
That's not the daughter's fault. That's not the little girl's fault. Why don't you teach her? How you gonna blame the little girl? Yeah, my daughter dumb as hell, man. I don't know what to do. Why don't you teach her and make her smarter?
At age 2, she already spoke fluently. I often screamed at Mr. Cumberbatch, telling him to treat them equally, but he never did. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore.
I mean, why don't you raise your daughter, though? By yourself? Oh, I think she is. She's at the attorney's office.
I went to a lawyer and asked him how much the father of my child had to pay me in child support on a $40,000 teacher salary. He told me to expect at least $1,000 per month. That was a good amount, but
$1,000 for $40,000? Was that a fourth? You make $40,000 a year. Divide that by 12. Yeah, so 1,000 make that 23. That's a lot of money though, but I guess that's fair, I guess.
I knew I could do better. So I went to Mr. Cumberbatch.
Wait, she said she knew she could do better.
That That was a good amount, but I knew I could do better. So I went to Mr. Cumberbatch and said, I will move out, but I expect you to pay me $2,000 in child support each month.
How is this man gonna pay you $2,000 of child support? He make $3,333 a month. Yeah, I did the math.
Of course, he told me he didn't have enough money to do that, but I continued.
He would be paying you more money than he has.
If you don't pay me the money, I will tell the school authorities that you got me pregnant while I was one of your students.
Am I the only one that knows that makes no sense? If he don't have a job, how are you gonna pay you anything?
I'm sure they will fire you for that. He got angry and said, How stupid are you? If I'm gonna lose my job, then how am I gonna pay your child support?
Exactly.
I responded, You are demanded by the law to pay my child support anyway. If you
He can't pay what he ain't got.
don't, you will go to prison just like your wife. You are insane. All you women are insane.
He should have been smarter than that, man. Come on. He wouldn't be able to pay you $2,000 anyway. But you gonna threaten him with $2,000 and he better not pay it. I swear he better not pay it.
He said. But I didn't care. I told him to get a second job, and we figured he could tutor kids to afford the $2,500 in child support.
I mean, honestly, this girl is evil as hell. I'm not gonna lie. She is definitely evil. But he's stupid. So it's like, I blame both of them. He's stupid and she evil. That's a hell of a combination.
Meanwhile, I moved back in with my parents, and life became much easier for me. Right now, my mom takes care of my daughter while I'm going to college.
So you make your mama take care of your baby.
With the $2,500 Mr. Cumberbatch
Wait, $2,500?
tutor kids to afford the $2,500 in child support.
Bruh, you gotta be kidding me. This girl convinced this man to get a second job to pay her $2,500 to go live back with her parents and let her mama raise her child and take the $2,500? Oh my God, this dude is stupid.
Meanwhile, I moved back in with my parents, and life became much easier for me.
I bet.
Right now, my mom takes care of my daughter while I'm going to college. With the $2,500 Mr. Cumberbatch sends me each month, I have enough money to feed my daughter and party through the weekends.
You know what's sad? I don't know if these are true stories or not, but I guarantee you there are girls on with child support payments just like this doing this exact same thing. But they were stupid. They had all these babies with all these girls and they just got played.
Trust me, I really enjoy my college life.
She just living it up though. Like, this girl is evil, man.
But Mr. Cumberbatch had to move into a cheaper and smaller house. He couldn't afford his old rent anymore. I knew it was wrong, but for some reason, I deeply enjoyed seeing Mr. Cumberbatch suffer.
Why? Y'all want to rock the hottest merch in the game? Well, go over to SonnyDaniel.com/shop, man, where you can get all the new merch that I drop. I got hoodies, t-shirts, pillows, phone cases coming, lanyards, all kind of stuff, man. So go over to SonnyDaniel.com/shop, get the hottest merch, man. I got it on right now because it's just so fly. Also, if you want my uncensored sim videos, you want access to all my content before it hits YouTube, and some content that never hits YouTube that's strictly exclusive, you gotta go over to the Patreon account, man. It's only $2.99 a month. That's 10 cents a day. That's damn near free. And I got a Discord now, man. Shout out to my homie Freedom. He set up a Discord for me so we can go over there. We could post memes, we could post girls, we could post all kind of stuff. Let's get back into the video. This man really did not do anything to you. Like, why are you so evil towards this man, Mr. Cumberbatch? All he did was smash, and he had a wife. But you know that now. So it's like, move on.
A few months later, I checked his Facebook and saw he was back with Mrs. Cumberbatch. I was still envious of their daughter. I didn't think they deserved such a perfect child. So one night, after I came back from a college party, I did something terrible.
Oh, boy.
I put a bunch of photos of me holding Mrs. Cumberbatch's daughter on a USB stick, put it in an envelope, and sent it to their new home.
Why? Why are you so evil?
Wanted to let Mrs. Cumberbatch know that her husband and I had been living together while she was in prison. I'd hoped she'd get angry and break into my house so the police could arrest her again.
Why? Why? This lady, man, I feel bad for this lady, man. Her husband cheated on her and, man, this lady got it rough.
But this time nothing happened, and instead of giving up, I took it one step further. When it was time to receive my next child support check, I went to their home to pick it up personally. Mrs. Cumberbatch opened the door looking shocked to see me. I said, I want to pick up my child support check in person. She said, what are you talking about? And I responded, your husband didn't tell you?
This is why y'all should get a Ring doorbell. You see this girl coming, just ignore her. Just ignore her, because she ain't nothing but trouble.
He pays me $2,000 per month in child support so I can take care of my daughter. I saw she was getting angry. And then her daughter came to the door and saw me. She immediately started screaming out of joy and ran up to me. Her mother said, don't touch her. But I didn't care. I picked her up and said, Oh, there's my baby. Mama is back now. Her mother took her out of my arms and screamed at me. You dirty little girl! All you do is destroy happy families!
Yeah, pretty much. Jeez. You gotta put some blame on old boy too though, cause I mean, he the one kind of brought this into your house, but still.
I responded, if you're such a happy family, why didn't your husband tell you he's paying another girl $2,000 a month in child support? And where is he anyway? I'm sure he wants to sleep with me again. She responded, you better not come here again or it will be your last time. And I said, you better be careful your husband doesn't get another girl pregnant. He really doesn't care about you. That's when she suddenly ran into her apartment.
It's like
I was afraid
Love
she
and
was
Hip
getting a
Hop.
knife, so I quickly got out of there ASAP.
It's like Love and Hip Hop, bruh. That's why I stopped watching Love and Hip Hop. It's just stupidity. Like, it's just constant stupidity. And that's what this is. Constant stupidity.
But on my way home, I felt weird. Like I had done something wrong.
You did!
It seemed that Mrs. Cumberbatch had matured and was really trying her best to make things work. Meanwhile, I was the one trying to destroy their family and making everyone miserable.
Yeah.
I knew I'd messed up. And that's why I decided not to bother them anymore.
Good.
I still receive my child support checks, but now I fully focus on my daughter and on college.
I'd hope so.
Support check.
Jeez. Y'all post in the comments. Let me go full screen. Y'all post in the comments. Am I wrong or was she evil? I mean, you gotta put some responsibility on Mr. Cumberbatch too, because that fool should have never got her pregnant, first of all, and let her in that house, and he was married. But still, that girl was crazy, man. Post in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this story. I love y'all. Peace.
Have you ever done something truly evil and destroyed someone's whole life?